Hi everybody, this is a short and sweet video for you guys, the viewers, just to try and get you up in the air as quick as possible with your new DJI Mini 2. So at the time of recording this right now, it is Christmas Eve, and I'm guessing a lot of you are either going to have the Mini under the tree, or know that it's coming, or just waiting for Santa to still bring you it. Who knows? So tonight, whilst you are enjoying your festivities, and first thing tomorrow morning when you open up your new DJI Mini 2, there's a couple of things I want to talk about to get you in the air literally as fast as possible. So first of all, you're going to start off with that, then you're going to end up with that, then you're going to be all excited, you're going to unpack it all, and you're going to end up with a drone, some batteries, and a controller. Right, so what I want to quickly talk to you about is what you should do to get up in the air as fast as possible. So obviously, if you are not new to drones, you're going to know this already, but this is for new, basically new people that are just excited to get their Mini 2 on Christmas Day. So this is the Mini 2. Obviously, this one comes with the strap. So what you're going to do is, to get it up in the air, you're going to take that strap off, you're going to get rid of that, all right? And then if you pull the stickers off, then obviously you just got a little too excited, but you need to fold out the front arms first, and then your bottom arms second, right? Normally it would have a gimbal protector on there, but I've taken it off already. So in here is where your battery goes. That's nice and simple, and you probably know that already basically by now. But this isn't the major thing that you're going to have a problem with. So I'm going to show you what is. So when you have got these unpacked, okay, you have got your controller and you've got your 3 batteries. So if you don't already know, okay, if I press that button, you're going to see the lights pop up. Now what happens is, say for example, this has 80% battery, this has 50, this has 30. What the smart batteries will do, or the smart controller and battery pack will do, is it will charge up the one with the most amount of battery first. And the idea behind that is to get you in the air as soon as possible. All right. Now, when you get these out the box, because this drone has been basically out for nearly 2 months, okay, so you are going to need to do software and firmware, well, firmware updates for the controller, for the drone, and for the batteries. Now, a little tip is basically these batteries don't charge at once, okay? It will do one, then the other, then the other. So what I would suggest, and I think is a really, really top tip, okay, is take the battery, which has got the least amount of charge, or at least one of those batteries, okay? It doesn't matter about whichever one, doesn't really matter, just take one of them out, put that in the back of your drone, and start doing your firmware and software updates while the other 2 batteries are charging, okay? Now, the reason why I think that's a good idea is because, yes, you're going to have to do firmware updates on all of them when they are charged. That's granted. But it just means that you can start playing about with it, not necessarily fly it, but play about with it and get familiar with the actual settings and how it all works, which is obviously what you really should be doing as a new flyer. So many drones are actually crashed by new pilots because they don't take the time to actually look through the settings and go through it. Now, I have done a previous video, an unboxing video, so you can watch that if you want. I will leave a link above my head. But what I'll do is I'll quickly summarize it in this video just so you can get started. So that's the batteries covered. Like I said, make sure that you just plug one of them into the back of your drone and leave the other 2 charging. Just purely, then you can start setting up your drone so you'll get to go quicker. Of course, once you're all set up, take that battery out and put it back in, and then, yeah, you're good to go. Next tip is with the controller, all right? So I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs. I'm going to assume you're all going to know how to use this. But at the end of the day, right, this will probably come with 2 or 3 battery lights already on. Now, this does take quite some time to charge, but it also discharges quite slowly. So, I mean, realistically, if you went out and it was on, say, 2 lights, don't panic. At the end of the day, that'll still easily do all 3 batteries full of flights. So don't worry about that. Obviously, try and get as much charge on it as you can. Obviously, you only get 1 charger in the box. So obviously, it charges in the bottom, which is USB-C. And then, of course, it's USB-C for the chargers. So what I would concentrate on doing, if you've got another USB-C charger in your house, brilliant. If not, just concentrate on getting your batteries done, and then put some final juice in this before you go flying. Don't wait until it's on 4 bars or 4 lights, because that's just going to take forever. And like I say, you won't run out of battery. A little tip, if you are on the iOS version, you can turn the option for this to charge your phone on or off. Android, you can't, unfortunately. That is fixed, so it will automatically charge your phone when plugged in. If you're on iOS, then you can turn that off. But if you don't get a chance to get fully charged, and again, make sure you've charged your phone fully, and then you'll be good to go with no worries. So this is the DJI Fly App. Okay, so in the top right hand corner you can see we are flying the DJI Mini 2. When you first open this app as new, when you get this drone, it's going to ask you which one you are flying, the Mini 2 or the Air 2. Obviously you are flying the Mini 2, otherwise I'm not entirely sure why you'd be watching this video. So in the top left corner, just below where it says locating and fly spots, that's where you are going to get any notifications of any updates. Obviously mine are all up to date, so I can't show you that. What we're going to do now is we're going to click go fly. Okay, now obviously this is just a carpet, nothing exciting there, but we're not really going to be looking at that. So as you can see, at the very bottom is your compass. That is going to tell you the direction you are away from your drone. You have then a map there, which is very handy for return to home, followed by your height and your distance away from the controller. Nice and simple. We have C mode up at the top, and then you can either click that on the app or the controller. So we can either click it to normal, or we can click it to sport. Now, again, I'm not going to go through all of that. It's pretty obvious, and I'll explain to you what those do. All right, at the top, you have your battery percentage, which is 21%. Now, if I was flying, that figure next to it would give a remaining flight time, which is brilliant. But obviously, I'm not, so it doesn't matter. The icon next to it is the controller signal strength. As you can see, this is on full. That's because I'm stood right next to the drone. Nice and simple. And then the GPS satellites, which is currently in red because I'm filming this indoors, because there is no need to do it outdoors because it's snowing. All right, down at the bottom, you have got your 4K 30. So you can see on my memory card, that is the time remaining I have. So we're going to click this icon here, and you can select between 25, 24 frames per second, or 2.7K, or 1080p. This is how you do that, okay? For the purpose of this, I'm going to stick it on 4K 30, so that's what we're recording. If you want to take a photo, then you can go ahead and do that. And those are your photo options. We also have quick shots, but I'm not in flight, so you can't do that. And you have got your panoramic option as well. So down at the bottom, you have EV. Obviously, that's for another video, but basically, obviously, it just affects your light for your drone. So we're going to click the three buttons in the top corner then, okay? So max altitude, which is set at 120 meters. You can change that, but you shouldn't because it is illegal. Max distance, which is no limit. I always set that as no limit just in case, but obviously if you're a new flyer, you might want to do that just to make sure you can't fly beyond that distance. Now, auto return to home altitude, that is very, very important, and I mean very important. If you are going to go flying out in an urban area near a big block of flats and you lose connection, and that is set at, I don't know, 15 meters, 30 meters, if you literally lose connection and that drone tries to return to home, it will do it as the crow flies, okay? It is going to go in a straight line. Simple enough. If that straight line involves a big block of flats in the way and you have your return to home altitude set at 29 to 30 meters, it is going to fly straight into the side of it. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to make sure and check your surroundings to make sure your return to home altitude is above what the nearest tallest building is around you, including trees or any pylons or anything like that. Okay, now a little tip that nobody really told me when I first started flying, that 60 meter, okay, return to home height. For example, if your auto return to home height is set at 60 meters, but you are flying at 80 meters and you lose connection and the drone goes to return to home automatically, it will stick at that 80 meters. It will not drop in height. But obviously, if you are flying at 30 meters and your return to home is 60, it will raise up to that height. Just a little tip for you in case you didn't know that. Okay. So compass normal and IMU normal. Don't be surprised if you get asked to recalibrate those. The compass normal is, the compass calibration is an absolute pain in the bum. All right, don't let anybody tell you different. Sometimes I've had to walk 100 meters just to get away from anything that's metal or interfering, just to get it to do it. It does happen, so just be aware of it. But don't, whatever you do, take off without that compass being calibrated and set at normal, because simply it's a bad idea. Just take my word for it. Don't try it. Okay. Obviously, you have got details on your battery, which you can see there. All right. Well, we need to pop back into that. So controls, obviously, this is something you can all play around with to get your own exact preferences when you are not, basically, when you're not flying it, you know, just take your time. Like I've said, when you've got 2 of your batteries on charge, you've got 1 in the drone, and you're familiarising yourself with these settings, this is when you start to play around with that. Obviously, you've got a front LED colour, which you can change, gimbal mode, follow me mode, or FPV. For most people, you're going to be on follow mode, which means the gimbal will tilt and it's not fixed. Allowed upward gimbal rotation, yes, we're going to switch that on because that's a good thing to have. Stick mode, mode 2, just leave them. Obviously, learn to fly using the normal settings. Camera, obviously, you can format and export in JPEG, JPEG and RAW. You can check the size, anti-flicker. You can turn the histogram on. You can turn overexposure warnings on. Obviously, I haven't got any because I've got it in a dark place. Auto sync HD photos. Yeah, obviously, you can set your grid lines. So, and there you go. So just to let you know what that one does. All right, we'll turn them off because I just use the dot. White balance, if you're a professional, you can use manual. If not, just leave it on auto, especially at this stage where you're just getting started. Transmission, this is what is the major important one. So the idea behind OcuSync is it can switch between 2.4 GHz and 5.8 GHz automatically, so you don't need to do it. However, for information, if you was flying out in the countryside, you could flick that on 2.4 GHz, and then that will suffice. Or if you're in a high interference area, such as an urban environment or a city, you'll be using 5.8. But at the end of the day, that's not something I concern myself with just at the moment. You shouldn't really be flying outside of line of sight anyway, obviously, and especially as a new pilot, just don't do it. So at the end of the day, leave that on dual band. So this video went on a little bit longer than what I anticipated. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to get this drone in the air as fast as possible when you open it up on Christmas Day. So like I say, one of the first things is just make sure you're charging 2 batteries, put 1 battery in the back of the drone, turn it on, familiarise with yourself with the settings, go through some of the options that I've just shown you on screen, okay? Don't worry too much about the remote control to be charged up fully. 2 or 3 will do. 2 or 3 lights will last you a perfect amount of time, and it'll easily run through all 3 batteries. But like I say, don't forget, you are going to have to do firmware updates, which do take some time, and you don't want to be doing them outside. You're going to want to do them at home where you've got Wi-Fi and obviously a better, stronger signal. So I think that's important because there's nothing worse than getting your controller charged up, waiting half the day, getting your batteries charged up, and then you've got to sit there and do the firmware updates. And of course, each battery requires a firmware update, so you're going to have to do all 3 every single time. So I would suggest before you leave the house, just make sure that you've charged all of them up and done the firmware update, just so when you're outside in the freezing cold, and if it does start to snow, as much as it's going to get you some fantastic photo and videos, it's going to be cold, so you don't want to be doing it out there. So don't forget, I have done a whole host of videos on the Mini 1 as well, not just the Mini 2, but I thought I'd put this out there just to help you guys out and get you in the air quicker. Don't forget to check out my other videos, you really find them useful, and if you want to like, share and subscribe to the channel, that's really, really appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon.